Top of the stack is another penultimate book, Gehenna. Gehenna #1. This is from Patrick Kindlon, excuse me, Patrick Kindlon. I'll get it right. And art is by Maruzio Rosenwig. Colors by Matteo Battani. Letters by Jim Campbell. And design, which is always important in these books now, because a lot of these books have great designs to them, by Matt Battaglia. And this is, I remember having it as a penultimate book, and he was bemoaning the fact that most of these trailers for these books, if they do exist, are boring and not full of action. Hey, he took it to heart. I mean, this book is, I said it was a cross between Gun Honey, which I think is what is inspired it a lot, and an action movie. It just goes from, as you can see, panel #1 is just like close up of a tussle going on, arms being broken, grappling for guns and shit, and it just goes from there. And the first part of this is like broken into 3 chapters. Is plan goes sideways, and this woman, I believe she must be named Gehenna. I guess there's not a lot of talking going on. There's some backstory given, but it was basically this woman has been forced into, I guess, vigilantism because of something that's been done to her. She's had her husband has been killed by, her husband worked as a security, and he was at a security job at a club and was killed by this rich guy. So my girl goes full on, like, Terminator, and like kidnaps the kid of the rich guy that had her husband killed. And the first issue is just her, like, taking out people, and not in a good way, just dragging the kid of the rich guy like all through the building, and they like get to a point where they have to like do the classic like jump from one building to another thing, and they managed to get that done. The artwork is, I mean, it's, I don't know if a lot of people will love it, but I like it a lot. I think it's, yeah, it looks really good. I mean, it's a lot of hatch work going on in there, which is cool, and it's a sexy book without being over sexualized, if that makes any sense. Because Gun Honey, though I did love the first series and some of the second and third series too, it tends to sometimes border on the soft core. It's like, if I wanted a Playboy, I'd go get one, but this one, yeah, it's you get some boobs, you get some butts, but you get also a good story going on and a lot of great art going along with it too. And the angles and the layout of everything is so cool. It's so, I'm surprised at how well it turned out, quite frankly. I thought it'd be okay and pretty good, but it's better than I thought it would be. And it leaves off at some point where, she finally, at the end, they reveal what happened. It's all about revenge anyway. And it just shows some stuff at the end where previews of next issues. It almost is kind of like a Mad Magazine style in some ways. That was acting all crazy, making it dark, which is not bad because there's some great artists associated with Mad Magazine. And you can see like the covers for the next issues are going to be very much in the same vein. There's going to be a Maria Lovett topless one, because Maria, oh my God, this actually not censored, so I hope I don't get thrown off of YouTube for that one. There's a lot of boobage in that one. This is actually for the first series. Yeah, I'm still trying to find that black and white 1 in 50 one right there next to the booby one. It's been out of stock at mycomicshop.com, so I'm not going to pay a lot of money for it. But if I can do find, I get a good deal on it. But yeah, Gehenna is good. Gehenna, better than I expected. Naked aggression. I'll probably go with semi-naked aggression, except for that cover. So well done. Patrick Kindlon and Maurizio Rosenwig put together a really nice book. All the rest of the gang. Another one of the penultimate books, most recently, I think from last week, probably last week, week before last, because last week was Beneath the Trees. This one is the Illuminati. Probably the brainchild of everyone's favorite guy, Charlemagne Lagarde, who did not write it per se, but I feel like this is probably like his brainchild, and he came up with the concept, and is written by written by Brian Hill.
Brian Hill, yeah, he wrote Chariot. I love Chariot.
Brian Edward Hill wrote Chariot, yes, and penciled by the great Dennis Cowan from famous days at Marvel, and inked by the equally great Bill Sienkiewicz. So we got color by Marco Lesko and letter by And World Design, and the cover is Kieran Grant. I thought the cover was Sanford Green, but maybe it's a different cover. This is maybe the B cover. Yeah, I didn't get the A cover, but I thought Sanford Green was somehow involved in this issue. Anyway, this woman has a twin, and she was murdered in Hollywood. Well, she turned up dead, and they're saying it's like, the typical suicide overdose kind of a thing. She'd been in her apartment for days. Somebody had found her and all that. And you look a lot worse than this. You've been in your apartment for days for being dead. But they kind of cleaned it up for the book and everything. And the art by Dennis Cowan and Sienkiewicz inking it, man, it's so evocative of that great era in Marvel when these guys were working there. So this woman comes to Hollywood for her sister's funeral, because she's trying to find out what happened with her. And they're exactly, of course, they're twins. They look exactly alike. And after the funeral, she gets an envelope delivered to her, the place that she's staying, from some mysterious person. And of course, being curious, she shows up there by herself, to this mansion, and she's you can see her like she's also a musician and an artist, so she is equally as talented as her deceased sister. And the person who invited her was this clearly a millionaire producer or whatever. And there's one small flaw in the writing where she gets the envelope. I don't know if I've read it a couple times to see if I was reading it correctly. She gets the envelope from the mysterious person to come to their mansion, but nowhere does he mention his name. And then later on, she mentions this person by name to another character. So I was thinking, like, is that something I missed, or is something maybe the editor missed, or whatever? But that's the only thing I found that was like, didn't quite sound cohesive in this story. But the art is really good. The meeting with the mysterious millionaire doesn't go super well because he starts to get a little creepy. You could have seen that coming. So she ends up leaving that meeting, and she ends up meeting with this other fellow, which is, I guess people just stumbling into her like, hey, I'm Michael. Who the fuck are you? I know who you are. I know you're looking for some information about your sister. And he's talking to her, and he mentions the other person with the mansion as being named Damien. And I was saying, like, she never said Damien anywhere in the story, but I guess maybe the person who at the mansion was so famous that everyone is like, it was Diddy. Everybody knows it was Diddy. I had to say it was Diddy. He was just so famous, it goes without saying. So I'll give it that excuse as far as that goes. And before it's all over, she's starting to like see visions of her sister, and I guess her sister is coming to her in dreams and stuff like that. And who knows what direction this is going to take as far as that part of the story goes. At the back, Charlemagne goes into a little detail about his love of comics and all that stuff. So he has his moment to shine and talk about, where it all comes from. So, overall, it's not a bad effort. I would give it another issue to see if it's really for me. There's more stuff in the back matter, sketches and things like that. But off to a decent start. Illuminati from AWA Artists, Writers, and Artisans. I want to check it out. Unless you just,
I like the team on that book.
Oh, I love the team.
I don't like the practice of using a celebrity to sell a comic book when that celebrity didn't actually write the book. I don't like that.
I know you made that very clear. But hey, you got to use every weapon in your arsenal when you're out here. As you say, when you're in a vicious cockfight, you got to keep your head on the swivel. When you're out here, you just got to use everything you got. So I understand him, doing it, because he did come up with the concept, kind of like the Post Malone thing. I bet Post Malone wrote very little of that book. He's credited as a writer. How much did Keanu probably write of a Berserker? I don't know, some, but I understand your complaint with it. Base case, what's happening? Hey, Kirk. Yeah, man, I don't update my Instagram very much at all, as I've caught much flack for that. He's banned. I don't know who left the floater, but he's definitely been banned. But do you leave an upper decker? That'd be even worse. All right, the next one. Next book on the list. Let's keep it moving. We were just talking about Chris Condon last week. The goddamn tragedy. This one, actually, I like a little bit better. It's called News from the Fallout. And this is written by Chris Condon with art by Jeffrey Allen Love, letters by Hassan Asmani Allahu, and designed by Michael Tibby. All right, and this is the A cover by Mr. Jeffrey Allen Love here. I love Jeffrey Allen Love's style. Some people might not like it. I know they probably don't, because it's kind of it's almost like a black and white book.
Damian Connolly-ish. Kind of. I mean, some might see that as a pejorative, but I don't think it's that bad. I think you could say that. Yeah. And Mike loved Naked Aggression. What's up, Mike's Total Dragon channel? It was like a Charles Bronson. Yeah, man, it's a total action movie vibe going on there. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Phil, that's what I'm talking about. I wasn't a Cleveland steamer either. Oh, look that one up in your funkin' wagnalls. All right, News from the Fallout. News from the Fallout takes place at a Gaines Army base. This Gaines Army base is an undisclosed location known as Atomic Alley, somewhere in southern Nevada in 1962. And what's going on here? You got this real dickhead general who's like commanding the troops. And he's just like, it's almost like the Sarge in Full Metal Jacket. It's one of those scenes, man. He's just cutting loose and being a huge asshole. But it turns out there's this nuclear test going on, and these troops have not been told what is. Yeah, you just go out there and do what we tell you to do. Uncle Sam owns your ass, so get out there and wait for this bomb to go off. Yes, sir. And there's one that's private going like, they know we're out here, right? Are you still gonna blow the thing up or what? Shut up! Get back in line, private. So the test goes on, very much Bruce Banner, the Hulk kind of a style thing. But the test goes off, the bomb explodes in all this majesty, and the troops are still there, and the fallout is just coming their way. And after a while, not only is the fallout coming, it looks like there's this whole like mess of like zombie-like creatures, only like not like Walking Dead lumbering, cannon fodder type of zombies. You got these like very aggressive, like World War Z kind of zombies coming your way, and that's not a good day for anyone there. So my man, the private, who doesn't want any part of that, he hops in a Jeep and goes AWOL pronto. Starts heading for the hills, and he ends up at this diner somewhere down the road here, where he finds, and shit happens in there, and we go on to issue number 2. But man, it's a fun to read book, and it's very simplistic, which I like a lot about it. But it's also the dynamism of all the characters, and the action is very well done. It doesn't have to be super detailed. We're just speaking with our guest here, who is a really good colorist. The colorist here, I don't know what their job could have been as much. I guess more of us, because it's the art. There is no real colorist. It's just art only. We don't really need a colorist because it's all black and white, and he just provided all the aspects of it. And you could say it's a little Damon Connolly-ish.
and there's a little airbrush-esque kind of a style to it. But yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's a good book, and I will be checking out issue number 2, News from the Fallout. This is a little different than the books I've seen from Chris Condon Wright. That's what I like. He very often works with Jacob Phillips, who's much more a realistic kind of an artist. So it's kind of refreshing for me to see him using a different artist and this style here, and this different style of a book. And the writing with the military and the do or die, shut the fuck up and get back in line, soldier. I like that whole thing a lot. So what's the fuck? I know, man. Forget about it. This is a different generation. Kiddies, once upon a time, there were these things called dictionaries, and these dictionaries were put out by a company called Funk and Wagnalls, and maybe there were other, like Webster had a dictionary too, but Funk and Wagnalls was a very popular dictionary printer. So back in the days of laughing, which was like in the 60s, one of the jokes they had was like, look that up in your Funk and Wagnalls, and everyone knew what it meant. But now people is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay.
I didn't know that.
So I just take for granted everyone as old as I am. Like, you know what that means, right? Oh, no, what the fuck is that? Did that come? If something didn't happen, like, last week or 2-3 years ago, that shit is in the archive. That shit has like been filed away somewhere. Yeah, so am I. Did somebody pass gas? Where you're getting teary-eyed there, sir. Darn tootin'. There you go. Well, boys, what I'm talking about. Sock it to me. Oh, wow. Even my beloved wife did not know what the Funk and Wagnalls was. She's, wow. I never read a turtle book nor even seen them on screen. Oh, and there's no shame in that, Phil. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but no, not all of us are turtle fans. You can't all be fans of the same stuff. But we should all be fans of this one book right here. And it's called Don't Forget Your Briefcase. And this is one we talked about briefly. It's a Mad Cave joint a few weeks ago. Written by Elliot Rahal. Art from Philip Sevi. And the colorist is Nia Shadeva. And the letterer is Frank Sinkovic. Please don't hate me, Frank, if I mispronounce your name. Don't Forget Your Briefcase was like my surprise, favorite book of the week. I mean, I liked all these books here, but I just read this one probably like last night because I just got my comic shop order, and man, this is pretty good. This is everyone knows about the football, right? The football is the thing, the nuclear device that the president uses to hope the fucking never gets used, but these days you never know. Anywhere the president is, the football guy is right there. He's got the football in his hand, and in case you have to launch a missile from anywhere you in the world the president is, you can launch that fucker right from the football. There's this agent. She wanted to be. I think she wanted to retire, but for some reason they wouldn't let her retire. So what they're going to do, they're going to give her the job of being the custodian of the football. She gets to keep the football, and that doesn't sound like a very good job because she's not sure, if she ever gets any days off. She doesn't know if she has to wear a diaper in case, she has to use the bathroom or anything. So there's a whole bunch of shit goes into like being the carrier of the football. And it's a very humorous part where they go through the history of the football, dating way back to Eisenhower, and they go through all the presidents one by one, and how they're talking about how important the football is, and how this burden should not be taken lightly. And she's sitting there like in an auditorium by herself, like, yeah. Oh, this is a shit job. It's all I can get right now. But moving on from there, there's this kid, and his mom works for she's a staff, works for the staff of the White House. And this kid is like, he goes to this like, prestigious school in DC or maybe in Virginia, I'm not sure, but a lot of the people who live in Virginia, they work in DC. But he goes to a school that's full of like a bunch of like little spoiled, rotten kids, and he gets bullied all the time. But one day, a man decides, like, you know what? I've had enough. He always carries a briefcase, like a little book satchel, which is probably one of the reasons that they
the ribbon because nobody carries those things nowadays. And the kids don't carry books. What are you, a nerd? And he comes to school, he puts a couple of bricks in his briefcase. They start fucking with him. He cuts fly. He cuts loose with his suitcase and just fucks this guy up. He puts him in the hospital. And then of course his mom has to come in and say like, oh, he's such a nice boy, and I didn't know you were being bullied. What you gonna do, Mom? I gotta handle it myself. I handle my own business. He's trying to be a man, and stick up for himself. And she's taking him home, and everything happens, and she has to stop by the White House because there's some shit going on, I guess. And the president is making a speech. And as the president is making this speech, after he makes the speech, he's coming down the hallway, right? And he's being followed by the custodian of the football, and there's this hidden assassin that just takes out the president in such a cold-blooded way. You got to see it for yourself. And the football is like the classic mix-up, the classic Lucy, mix-up. Oops, the football gets dropped. His briefcase gets mixed up with the football's briefcase. Now the kids got the football, and they've heard him and his mom out of the White House, and he doesn't discover that he's got this device until much later. They're sorting out the assassination of the president, and all this stuff is going on. And there's a twist I didn't see coming at the last page. I won't tell you about. I think makes the book pretty interesting. Because other than that, except for the whole classic mix-up kind of a thing, you might see this a little bit formulaic. But there's a twist at the end that I think works out pretty well. So I will be picking up number 2 of this also. Don't forget your briefcase, or at least don't get it mixed up with some kid's statue with a brick in it, if you can help it. So this is a good one too from the another house of ideas, Mad Cave Comics, and that is your What's Good for this week.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.